Washington for Friday, October the 14th, 2011. Before I begin my summary of what's been going on in Washington in the last week, I did want to take a moment to share with you a gift I've received from Janice Lorenz of our staff, who has been doing volunteer work and just returned from a visit to East Africa. She was kind enough to bring me back something called a Maasai talking stick, which is used in village meetings, and the person who actually holds the stick gets to do the talking as various issues in the community are discussed. And since she felt that talking and, shall we say, me go together so well, she was so kind to bring me this, and I've been keeping it around all week so that people know that I get to do all the talking when they come into the office. So I'm very pleased to have this, and I'm also very pleased to acknowledge Janice's hard work in trying to help people develop community transportation systems as far away as Tanzania in East Africa. This was a interesting week here for us. Yesterday was probably one of the most interesting days that I think I've participated in the time that I've actually been in Washington. Many good things were finally resolved in some specific areas yesterday, but let me tell you, my day began early yesterday at a breakfast with one of our favorite members of the Senate and longtime supporter, Senator Tom Harkin, who told us about his work and support for the things that we stand for and the programs that we support in his role as a member of the United States Senate and as chairman of the Labor HHS Committee, an authorizing committee in the Senate. The senator has promised, as he has in the past, to maintain his continuing support for our efforts, and he spoke about the importance, as he always does, of transportation and the future of healthcare in our country. Tom let us know that the situation in the Senate, as we've all known and said from what we've seen on the media, is very, very difficult and very, very trying, but that this situation is a passing one, and that we should keep in mind that we've made a lot of progress on our issues in the last 2 decades, and he's going to continue to fight for that progress until a change of attitude comes, and he seems to feel that one is inevitable. So it's very good to begin our day with that yesterday. But there were more significant developments yesterday that I think are very interesting, and if you've been looking at our website or been looking in your email for reports from us on what's going on in Washington, you will note that yesterday in the House of Representatives, a revised Carnahan bill was introduced by Representative Carnahan from Missouri. Representative Carnahan was our sponsor last year and in the last term of Congress to get greater flexibility for operating assistance during the current economic crisis. That bill has undergone several changes, including an expansion in the legislation to make things easier not just for larger urban transit systems, but for rural and small urban transit systems as well. It's on our website, and I would like to urge you to take a look at it. One of the things about yesterday that was most significant is this bill was introduced with a bipartisan number of co-sponsors, including up to 10 Republicans. It's the first major piece of transportation legislation this year that included that kind of bipartisan support that we have always sought to provide. And I want to take a moment to extend my personal thanks to Scott Bogren, who has stayed with this issue for quite some time and worked with our allies to get legislation that is supportive of people with disabilities and people with special needs in urban areas, but also with something that is very supportive of our rural transportation members. Additionally, I want to thank John Macbeth and David Marsh and Barry Goodman in Texas, who helped us get the first Republicans to sign onto this legislation. They are Representatives Carter and Representative Brady, the first two Republicans, one from John's area and one from Dave's. And we're very, very appreciative of that. And we're very impressed that many people felt that it was impossible to get Republicans to support legislation developed by a Democrat that does good things for transit. But I do think that John and Dave, and with help from Barry, have proved that situation to be a wrong one. If you were around last week and tuned into our communication system and listened into the conference call we had with Administrator Rogoff, I think you also heard very positive things about our position on transportation in the President's jobs bill. Even though the jobs bill has, for the moment, come to an end, it is the intent of Congress and the administration to separate out the transportation piece and move it into separate legislation. Administrator Rogoff talked about the way that the jobs program would provide additional funding for all of our transit systems, and was kind enough to mention our advocacy of having operating assistance made available